Before we begin, thank you very much to Jackal for joining the Patreon campaign. Thank you very much for the support. Thank you very much to everyone who helps keep this channel going. It helps tremendously. You have no idea. Even if it's only $1 or $2 a month. Helps me out a lot. Thank you very much. Also, another way to help the channel while you are getting your toys is my Entertainment Earth link in the description below. If you use that link, any pre-order will count toward this channel and will help support it. So thank you very much for anyone who uses that link. As of right now, the toys that I'm about to talk about, at least the ones they released today, last I checked, as I'm recording this, were still available at Entertainment Earth, including Springer that's already sold out at Pulse and BBTS. So if you're still after a pre-order for that Springer, last I checked, Entertainment Earth still has it. So don't quote me on that once this goes live, but I'm trying to inform you where to get it. But thank you very much for using that link. Thank you very much for using the Patreon. Let's talk about some new toys. So, like a lot of these recent things, Hasbro felt that the correct marketing strategy was to allow a whole bunch of other people to show off all their new stuff before they did. And I still don't completely understand that, but you know what? Whatever, it's their marketing strategy. But we still did get to find out a lot. We still did get to see a lot that we had not previously. And yeah, the Space Bridge reveals show some pretty interesting things this time. So we have quite a bit to talk about. And we're going to start where they started. We're going to go in order to give you my thoughts and breakdown of the entire thing. And we start with Steeljaw. So it's been a long time since Steeljaw got a brand new toy. They mentioned repainting, they mentioned previously in times repainting Ravage into yellow and just calling that Steeljaw. I think the Fall of Cybertron Soundwave might have been the only time they, or Blaster might have been the only time they actually did that. And even that I might not be remembering right. Point being, this is the first time he's gotten a brand new mold since G1. There is a Masterpiece mold that exists. They did it as Night Prowler instead for some weird reason. But, whatever. We have a brand new Steeljaw. I saw people down on this. Like, oh, it kind of looks derpy. It kind of looks, like, cheap. Like, think of how small these cassettes have to be in order to fit inside the current Blaster mold. It's a very tiny figure. So the fact that they not only got it to look like Steeljaw, but they also made sure that the weapons and the wings were built in as well, I think that's really impressive. Like, even his tail is there. I think this is a fantastic job, right? And then they did this. Because, let's be honest, cassettes at core class price always feels kind of nasty. I'm sorry, no matter how much you bulk them out with, no matter what accessories they come with, it just doesn't feel good at that price point. It just doesn't. So to see this, this is weird. So, number one, I will go ahead and say, like, it does actually, like, attach to Blaster, because this is actually a weapon he used in the G1 cartoon, so fair play. It does give Blaster an extra thing he can have, so, and, Steeljaw can equip it as well, as we can see there. What makes me, go, why did you do this, is the fact that Steeljaw's legs are not painted here. Did you notice that? That's the only thing that really bugs me, is that the lower legs aren't gray. So if that had been done, I think it would have looked a lot better. And I can see all the paint budget in that big, that big, like, speaker, when it could have just been molded in the same gold that his weapons are molded in. So that gets me a little bit. But other than that, yeah, I actually think this is a pretty good figure. I want to see it from the other side. So this is the only time I'm going to the official stock photos, because the ones they showed off on stream were actually pretty good. I'm really curious what the other side of this looks like and why the paint budget was sectioned off the way it was. Because, like, one of the reels here for the cassette was painted, the other one was not. But you can see the tape inside, that was painted. So I'm kind of curious why this weird look happened. And I really want to see what the other side looks like, because that's where his mane is. The mane is supposed to look like the outside of the cassette. Considering I can see the halves of his head here, it feels like I'm looking at the back side of the tape. So that's Steeljaw, and those are the overall thoughts. I kind of want to see. I want to see him all the way around, but ultimately, I think he's way more impressive than people are giving credit for. Here's one I don't have many thoughts on. So we have a generic Decepticon soldier from War for Cybertron. It's a retool and a repaint of Barricade. Now, Barricade I thought was okay. Like, I could see why people were dogging on him, but I tended to like him a little bit better because he felt like an old school figure with his, like, the bulk and the way he handled some things. But yeah, compared to a lot of the Generations toys coming out at this time, it really wasn't as good. So it's kind of daring of Hasbro to go, here's a version of him that is not a character you like, and we're expecting you to buy these in like 3 or 4. That ain't gonna fly for me. That ain't gonna fly for me. So I'm kind of like scratching my head about the choices here. The green and gray is nice. I do like how that looks. Apparently that is the actual color of the model from the game, whereas you kind of think of it as like this really dark shaded like black and purples. Apparently no. Apparently this is the actual model when you take away all the heavy shading in that game. So, you know what? Fine. Makes him look distinct from Barricade at least. I don't mind how it looks. I'm just not happy enough with the toy the first time to buy it as a generic. Simple as that. We are completing the Seekers when it comes to the Bumblebee movie. We are getting Sky Warp. And Sky Warp is bringing up an interesting problem for me. So, they did make mention that the wings for him are different in the movie than they are for the other 2 Seekers. And you know what? If that's actually movie accurate, fair. Go ahead and include that modification. What bugs me is that they are also using the Blitzwing head with like the gas mask looking thing attached to the front. That feels like a wrong call to me. I get bugged when the normal trio of Seekers don't just come out as repaints of each other when they feel like one gets to be modified. Now, in my mind, it's like, change them all to have unique stuff to them, or don't change them at all. Don't make an odd bot out. And you know what? It's always Skywarp that's the odd bot out. I need to do a video of just how many times it has happened in Transformers, where of all of these Seekers released, Skywarp was always the weird one. Skywarp was always the one with changes the other 2 didn't have. It's happened quite a lot. And it's happening again, apparently. So, again, this is definitely not one for me. I'm not huge on this mold, but I do think it's good that at least they are getting out all of them. It's weird when they did Acid Storm before they did Skywarp, but hey, at least they are completing the main trio. Let's get to the one that was the first big topic of discussion here, and I got a lot of photos for this one, and that is Springer. So, famously, they have announced already that this is going to be the Siege version, but retooled and upped into a Voyager Plus, like all the other triple changers. So, he looks good. Don't get me wrong. He actually looks good. I like that they've retooled him to actually be able to have like the slant to his shoulders so he doesn't look so squared up. He does have some notable remolds to his torso in order to facilitate more like angular look and not so like hard edged. We have the vehicle mode, which mostly just kind of looks like the Siege one. And then the car mode also just kind of looks like the Siege one. No real surprise there though. No real surprise there. It is mostly a retool of the Siege. There are a lot of parts that have changed. They did mention, the hands are now articulated. Like he actually has like a hand joint in the middle of his knuckles. You can see here where his shoulders are slanted now, or at least you have that as an option for display. They made a note that the toy is taller than the original because of all the retooling that they did to his torso. So at the very least, it will feel like a little bit of a bigger figure overall. Here's the weird thing. If you go to any of the shops listing this Springer for sale, they don't really include a breakdown of the weapons. They will mention 7 accessories included, but they'll only show 2, really. Really only 2. However, as you can see here, he comes with a load of stuff. And unlike, say, like Astro Train and, Blitzwing, he's not coming with a bunch of superfluous parts that have nothing to do with him. He's actually including a ton of accessories that seem to work for him. You can see in his hands, he actually has the bombshell that he loaded into the catapult in the original 86 movie. It's Springer's famous scene. So yeah, that's actually a really cool thing to include. It's got a 5mm port for blast effects if you actually want to look like it's launched. For those who still have a Combiner Wars Devastator that you want to see in an action scene, you have that now. You can also see in this shot, he does include a rifle that is accurate to the rifle he had in the cartoon. He includes 2 blasters that were left over from his Siege figure, so he still has those. He includes not only the sword that you can form from his helicopter blades, he also includes the generic sword he had when he was fighting Wreck-Gar on Junk. That's a really great thing to include. Really like that. And then, because they're still trying to make this a thing, he also includes the Wrecker Hammer. So you admit, this wasn't in the 86 movie. This was not in the 86 movie, but you know what? We had some extra space in the mold. Let's just throw them in. Let's just throw in one more. I appreciate that. I kind of do. So, yeah, like, he's got the engineering level. They've upped the engineering level in order to accommodate how he should, a more proper looking Springer. And then you load him full of accessories that actually mean something to the character, whether it's his past toys, his scenes in the movie, or even his, connection to the Wreckers. I like that. I like that it's all being accounted for in one almost definitive Springer toy. And I wish it was a little bit more changed. I got curious, so I decided here's a side-by-side of the Siege version. And you can see where the chest is different, the shoulders are different, the arms are different, the midsection is different. Legs are mostly the same. Obviously, the hands are switched out. I think the head sculpt is the same, too. So, yeah, there's quite a bit changed, but you'll forgive me if, I don't see a whole lot of it. Because a lot of it was pretty minor. Just, it feels like remold for the sake of being remolded rather than improving the toy. Well, we gotta justify the price point somehow. Sorry, I don't know, the Voyager Plus just never feels right. It just never feels right. I'm still curious. I still think it's a really, really good-looking Springer. I'm still getting it. I'm just kind of, side-eyeing it while I do so. Here's another toy being sold at a price point higher than his size would accommodate for, but given the character, I can kind of understand. It's a Bumblebee. We have an 86 Studio Series Bumblebee. So this is part of the A-level assortment, Hasbro's new initiative to make sure that the mainstay Marvel and Transformer and Star Wars characters are always going to be on the shelves. So aside from just normal releases, there's going to be a subsection of just A-level stuff. So if you are, looking for, if you are a Marvel fan, or you have a kid who's a Marvel fan, and he can't find Iron Man and Spider-Man because every store is always sold out because it's the first one to sell out all the time, here are 2 very base level, here's 2 still iconic looking versions of them that are always going to be on store shelves. They're just going to have a constant flow and constant restock of these particular characters. For Star Wars, probably going to be Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. For Transformers, it's going to be the Transformers 1 Optimus Prime, and it's going to be 86 Bumblebee. And you know what? I think he looks fantastic. They did mention that the windows are not blue because some of the heavier transformation points needed to be retooled in the black for the palm plastic. So I'll forgive that. Still looks really good. The vehicle mode, I am surprisingly okay with because it does stay round in certain areas, especially the front. It does look very close to the Volkswagen and especially the Penny Racer aesthetic with the larger rear wheels. Also, there's many scenes in the G1 cartoon where you can actually spot Bumblebee with that boxier top to him, just because the animators did not want to draw the curves of the Volkswagen Beetle. So you know what? I think this is fine. I think it actually looks really, really good. I think it plays a pretty good contrast between how he looked in the cartoon and how the original toy looked. The black windows actually help that as well. That's just a fantastic looking Bumblebee. They also mentioned no part forming, which is a huge deal for me. They also mentioned that as a bonus to his transformation, the Autobot symbol on his hood actually folds away in robot mode and vanishes. That's actually a really cool trick. The only thing that would have made me happier is if the chest actually had a flip around gimmick so that I could display him in vehicle mode without the Autobot symbol showing, so only the one on the hood is showing. But that also would have made him look a little bit more panely than he already looks. I will admit he does have quite a few panels going on around the top of the vehicle, so maybe for the best they avoided that. Either way, I think it's a fantastic looking Bumblebee. And remember, your Netflix Bumblebee probably isn't going to lose that much value. While this is going to be a very commonly available Bumblebee, the Netflix one still is the Volkswagen Beetle. So it's still going to hold some level of value. And then we get to the big one, literally the leader class of the reveals. We're getting a proper Straxus. I never liked the tank. I never liked the tank that they did before for him because it just felt... I didn't like how it felt. I didn't like how it transformed. And also, of course, he doesn't turn into a tank. He turns into a spaceship that just happens to look like Galvatron's cannon mode. But here, yeah, that's just straight up Straxus. He looks absolutely great. On the floor of the show, like when they actually showed the example, it does seem like he has a little bit more kibble than this shot actually allows. But you know what? It still does look really, really good. Pickaxe looks good. Here's the spaceship mode. Being a Galvatron retool is a perfect choice because that's literally how his vehicle mode looks. Yeah, this was a no-brainer. I also like that they incorporated the pickaxe into his vehicle mode by creating like his little stabilizer fins from it. That's a really cool touch. Yeah, this is another one of their comic book figures, so there is some cell shading to his color scheme. And this is going to be Pulse exclusive, so don't expect to find this one easily at a convention or wait for Big Bad or a retailer to get it. It's Pulse only. So if you want it, go grab it there. They do produce these in high numbers because of that, but still, you don't want to miss out on that. Yeah, it's just a nice looking Straxus. It's just a really, really nice looking Straxus. They gave us a shot of the box art, which features one of his classic covers, looking really, really good. And then they show the side, which continues the diorama piece from Grimlock and Shockwave, and has a very small teaser for who is next. They have mentioned that there is one more figure in this assortment. They specifically mentioned last figure in this assortment. And all we know is that he's got a yellow hand, and part of him is red. That doesn't narrow it down a lot, but I don't know, they kept teasing that they might have been alluding to who it is. Nothing I picked up on, but I'm sure someone's got an assumption out there. I know this fandom. Someone's already coming to conclusions based on yellow hand. Like, there's only so many yellow-handed characters in the Marvel run. Who's gonna be? Now we're gonna get into some of the non-toy reveals, or at least some of the stuff we've already seen. So they officially revealed Beyblade X, which is going to include Transformer characters. 4 in the first assortment: Starscream, Megatron, Optimus Prime, and Optimus Primal. You know, I'm not against love for Beast Wars. Obviously, I'm not. It's one of my favorite franchises in the entirety of Transformers. That said, no Bumblebee? No Grimlock? No, you went with Primal. Primal versus Starscream, by the way, which does have some connection to Beast Wars, thankfully, but still, that's the 2-pack. It's weird. I've never been big on Beyblade. I think it was after my time type of toy, and just spinning tops just never really interested me. They put stats on the back of the box on these, and you're never going to convince me the stats actually mean anything. I don't believe you that one spinning metal top is any more defensive than another spinning metal top. It's just completely random when they hit, what parts of them hit, who goes down first. I don't know. Cool. It's a cool item, though. It expands it. It's for more kids to buy. Okay, fine. Whatever helps the brand. They put another little promo out for the new soundtrack, the new vinyls that are coming out. There's a Optimus Prime swirled color and a Bumblebee swirled color coming out. It does include some new songs. They did include a remix of the original Generation 1 song, which they ended the stream with. I'm not a big fan of how it sounds, but you know what? At least they let them do something new so at least you're getting some new sound out of this vinyl. There's only 2,500 of each available, so yeah, if you're a vinyl collector, not a whole lot of these are going to exist. They also pushed the RoboSend one more time, and it's an impressive piece, but $900 I don't have for a single toy. And even if I did, I can think of so many things I'd rather spend that money on as far as a single toy purchase goes. Yeah, so that was there as well. I mean, it's still neat. It's a super neat piece, but I don't know. It's not one for me. And then we get into the Space Bridge stuff, where we have some fascinating reveals and confirmations about what is coming out. First off, confirmation that we are getting a core class Galvatron from the Energon Megatron mold. To my chagrin, based on this artwork, and they are showing the artwork from the packaging now instead of just random things they pulled off Google Image Search, which is great. According to this artwork, it's going to be anime accurate, which I guess is fair because the animation accurate colors were never released in America. But it does mean Galvatron's going to have that dumb blue crown that I don't like, so it's whatever. Yeah, I just really like the original. I kind of regret selling it. It was just so big, I didn't have anywhere to put it. I didn't have anything I could do with it. Moving on from that, we have a recolor of Boulder Crash, and they didn't mention who it was or what gender they were. It is just a completely unknown character, which with this, you know, it's not based on anything existing. You know, all these have been original characters so far. So the fact that they are keeping this one secret more or less kind of tells me they haven't decided on a name yet. That's basically what I'm gathering from this. If we're going off of the Rocklord homage thing, then the colors, the gunmetal stone color and the purple gives me vibes of Crackpot. If the red was green, I would almost predict that this was going to be a Crackpot homage, but I don't think it's going to go that way. Either way, it's not a bad core class, and I do like me those rock vehicles, so I don't think I would mind picking up a repaint of it. We have, moving into the deluxes, we have Quake, who seems very much accurate to his original form. I thought the Titans Return did a pretty good job of producing a Quake, even though it's a hardhead repaint. I thought it looked pretty good. But we're apparently getting one a little bit better. He's apparently going to have both of his Target Masters, which is the thing they've been pushing for those like smaller G1 Target Masters, is to get both of their partners in there. Gives me hope for things like I had like Quick Mix and Scoop as a kid. You know, they did Scoop for Thrilling 30. So he's probably covered, but I wouldn't mind a new Quick Mix if we're going to go ahead and go all out on these things. I'm kind of like scratching my head of who he gets retooled into or recolored into, because like, you know, he's just like a very generic looking bot with a tank mode. I mean, if it would be really cool if we get like a core robot bludgeon out of it. That'd be the only thought that comes to my head right away. Tossing around. I like to think of repaints as soon as I see some new reveal. Slipstream. Talk about repaints. So new weapons and new head, but otherwise it is just the brand new. It's the brand new United Windblade that just came out, and that is a good mold. I do like that as a mold. I just really wish they'd done more to kind of push it away from being Windblade. You know, I wish they took the turbines out of the wings. I wish they had taken the shoulders that are kind of more samurai in design, and I wish they'd squared them off into a proper Seeker look. Oh, okay, so it does feel like just like a quick little check the box. Okay, we did a Slipstream. People will leave us alone for another 2 years about her. Is what it is, but I will probably pick her up because, yeah, it's Slipstream. If you really want to push it, that does mean this is a modern version of her Takara Legends toy, which admittedly had some translucent plastic in spots I didn't really approve of, like the ball-jointed neck. So this will feel like a more secure version of that toy to me. This was fascinating. So they're doing a Deluxe Optimus Prime, and this is the first time Optimus Prime has been available at the deluxe size since the fall of Cybertron Generations toys. That's a long, long time for him to be absent from that price point. But they wanted to make one that's a little bit more affordable, and they want to make one that they could get away with stuff with, because this one is entirely toy-based. You can see on the artwork here, he's got the yellow eyes from the original toy. He has sculpted detail in the forearms and the legs that match detail that only the toy had. It is kind of coming across as, we have Missing Link Convoy at home. But it's going to be a cool figure. It should be a cool figure because they have not done anything like this in a while. And toy accurate for a brand new figure is also an interesting development for Generations to do. I'm really curious to see this one and exactly how it turned out. Yeah, and that just opens up a whole other like litany of repaint possibilities too. Or you know, someone hoping for a proper Magnus. You know, this is the beginning of it. Who knows? This one confused me. This one confused me. Why are we doing Metal Hawk again? Like, it kind of lingered on shelves the last time you did Metal Hawk, but they're apparently rerunning the mold. They've made some adjustments to it. They've made some color changes to it to be more lean closer to how it looked as, you know, the toy versus the animation. I don't think a lot of American fans genuinely care about just how accurate that is, especially when you're talking about kids who already saw it on a shelf and went, nah, I don't want it. I saw this thing sit forever. I saw this thing sit forever at my local shops, and the idea that they're going to run it back is kind of baffling to me. But you know what? Their call, their choice. Let's see how it turns out. Who knows? It might turn out to be really good. It is based off of that Cyclonus mold, that Kingdom Cyclonus, which I still think is the best figure in the Kingdom line. So it's not going to be a bad toy, but redundant. Feels redundant. We're getting Motormaster. I really wish the trademark was the Motormaster, because he is supposed to be modeled after a pro wrestler in personality. But it's cool that they're doing them. I love this attitude from Hasbro, that like the stuff that used to be sacred from BotCon is just not sacred anymore. That they are perfectly willing to replace those toys with modern equivalents that are on a technical level superior to the originals, depending on your preferences, of course. But it is weird how those toys used to be sacred. And Hasbro just promised, like, we're never doing a toy like that. And then they like teased the waters once upon a time with Generations Thundercracker. And like, that's surprisingly close to the toy that wasn't supposed to come out at retail. But now they're just going for it. They're just going for it now. They're just going all out on it now. They're just producing BotCon ideas, which is cool. I like the Motormaster. It does leave me with a little bit of lament, because you know for a fact we are not going to get all of the Stunticons. None of their molds have even been produced to get the other ones out as any other character. So you know what? Okay, fine. We'll at least get him. We'll at least get the Motormaster. Leader Class Soundwave, and they did just fully state that this is going to be the this is just going to be the Netflix mold with 3 cassettes, which pricing wise doesn't seem to mesh out very well. So I'm kind of hoping there's some extra accessory parts in with them besides the cassettes. It is cool that they're releasing this again, because it is a very, very high demand toy, whether you couldn't find yours or whether yours has started to yellow. To have another run of this figure is actually a really, really good idea for Hasbro. It is weird because it's coming out right after the dramatic scene version that Takara put out, which is a super pretty figure, by the way. It's going to depend on what the cassettes are. Because, like, I'm already thinking of selling off my... Like, I literally might. I'm thinking of, since I got the dramatic version, I'm going to sell off my Netflix one at some point, and then I'm going to turn around and potentially sell off this one, just so I can have the cassettes, depending on who they are. Because they didn't say. They didn't say who the cassettes are. So I'm banking on one of them being Buzzsaw, because they've not done any Buzzsaw whatsoever ever since, like, Titan's return. It's been a long time. And I want to say Ravage, because Rumble and Frenzy are accounted for, and then Laserbeak's been done so many times, I don't think they need to do it again. This still leaves one. Like, what if they just went crazy? What if they just went crazy here? You know what would get me to buy it? If Buzzsaw was the one he comes with, if it's Buzzsaw, Slugfest and Overkill. If Hasbro's crazy enough and goes to that extent, oh, I will have 3 Soundwaves in my collection just for the cassettes. That's my hope. And then we kind of end off on a wet noodle of an announcement. Yeah, we're getting Armada Galvatron. We pretty much knew that from the back of Tidal Wave's box. No surprise whatsoever. I hate when the streams just like kind of end on a limp noodle of a reveal. You know, because we knew this one was coming out. There's no surprise here. It's not a very interesting release in general. But you know what? It's nice to have the confirmation. And that's the stream. There was some stuff that came out beforehand, but nothing that really went through leakers. You know, a lot of it went through official sources to actually be shown for the first time. So at the very least, Hasbro managed to get this wave to be controlled and announced the way they wanted it to. So I will give them credit for that. That's an improvement. We knew a lot of this stuff was coming through leaks, but this is, for the most part, the first time we saw any of this. And yeah, of course, this, a lot of, and then even like the Space Bridge reveals had some good surprises. So overall, yeah, I'm kind of happy with this stream. I got a lot out of this one. So in the comments, your goal today is to talk about what your favorite reveal of the stream was. I'm kind of torn between Straxus and Bumblebee myself, but that's just your discussion for the day. For now, thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.